Hi guys, it's Liz. I wanted to make another video, but I wasn't sure what to make it about. So if you're wondering what all of the stuff is on my counter, it's home remedies. We were talking a little bit lately about just like really simple stuff that you can use around your house. Not expensive, but pretty effective. I really like home remedies as a first line of defense against just really common sicknesses and ailments and just stuff that happens to kids and just the things you come across in life. Before you go to the doctor, I recommend a home remedy always, because if you can nip something in the bud, it's always better than getting really sick and then needing a doctor. So these are just some really cheap, really simple things that I always have in my house that help me treat myself and my husband and my kids with like just basic stuff. So I'll just start here because everybody knows how much I love garlic. This is garlic, obviously. I love garlic because whenever I have an infection of any sort, or like a sickness, virus, whether it's viral, bacteria, anything starting, you can feel when you're starting to get sick. If I throw some garlic in the food processor or magic bullet or whatever you have, puree it, mix about a tablespoon with a little bit of water and drink it. I do that like every couple of hours. I call that my garlic shots. You will probably get better really fast. My husband had the flu about a month ago, and he was not doing well. He took a few garlic shots, and he was literally getting better the next day. Garlic is really amazing. I give it to my kids. They don't love it, but they've gotten used to it. And I give them a smaller dose also than an adult. And I have some honey here. I love honey too, but this is just local raw honey. For kids, you can mix some raw garlic with some honey, and that definitely makes it easier for them to swallow. And honey is really good when you're sick anyway, so it doesn't hurt. And it definitely tastes better than that nasty pink penicillin that they would be given if they actually got really sick. So like my oldest is prone to ear infections. Not ear infections, but ear aches. And a lot of times if you start to get an earache, a lot of people kind of freak out, rush to the doctor. I always give him a garlic shot with lavender essential oil around his ear with a hot compress. And he almost always wakes up in the morning 100% better. So that's a nice trip to the emergency room to avoid. Garlic is also really good for your health in like a variety of different ways, but this is really just focusing on home remedies. This big bag of in the background here is my second favorite thing in the whole world. It's called diatomaceous earth. This is food grade. That's very important because there are different grades of consistency. They can be larger, coarser ground, or finer ground, and there's like a really wide variety of uses. This is food grade. A lot of people buy it for their pets because it does kill fleas and ticks. It has a unique structure. It is actually made from the skeletons of deceased phytoplankton, I believe. And it tastes like chalk. It's basically chalk, naturally occurring. But it has a really unique structure to it that is very hostile to basically microorganisms, like anything with an exoskeleton or bacteria, viruses. It is porous and also abrasive at the same time, so it absorbs things and it kills things. I love it for a really wide variety of uses. It is very good for oral health. Not only is it a naturally occurring mineral, silica, which most people are deficient in, which is really good for your teeth, but it is an excellent gargle if you have a sore throat. I've actually used it to treat strep. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I'm sharing my personal experience. It has cured strep for me and my kids. It is really good for a toothache. Because it is very absorptive. It's like almost like a clay. If you have any swelling, like a canker sore or a sore tooth or something like that, you can use it as a mouthwash, and it gives almost like instant relief. And it's obviously, like I said, hostile to bacteria, so it's good for your overall oral health. I use it as a mouthwash pretty frequently, kind of the same way that somebody would use like oil to do like an oil pulling type of thing. I found it whitens my teeth and keeps them really healthy. It's very similar to activated charcoal in a lot of ways, which is a pretty trendy product right now. So it's almost exactly like activated charcoal in almost every way, except that it is also a naturally occurring mineral, so it's also really good for you in other ways. So like charcoal just kind of goes through you. Silica is really important for a lot of functions in your body, especially building connective tissues. So people who have like arthritis will take it as a supplement, and some people have even said it's cured their arthritis. My eyesight has improved significantly since I started taking it as a supplement daily. Because your eye is basically made up of connective tissue, and I have astigmatism in both eyes, which my nighttime vision has improved, my overall vision has improved. So similar to activated charcoal, it's very good for an upset stomach. I just mix up like a teaspoon with some warm water for nausea. It's really good for heartburn. It actually, if my kids are exposed to somebody who has a stomach bug, I instantly give them this because it has cured me of like stomach bugs and food poisoning, all kinds of stuff, because it just basically absorbs and kills whatever is going on in there. So I always have this stuff with me, especially during this fun time of the year when everybody has stomach bugs. It's a really nice face mask if you have acne, because of its it's drying and like absorptive properties. It just relieves the redness and the swelling of like cystic acne. And actually that's why people use toothpaste, because it actually has silica. Most toothpaste has silica in it as a abrasive, so that's kind of why toothpaste works as like a folk remedy for acne. But this stuff, is the same thing. It's really good. I use it to treat warts, plantar warts. I'll just make a paste and cover, like on my kids. Like Patrick had a real bad one time, and it cured it in like a week. We just kept covering it up, and it just kind of sucks everything out of there and doesn't give it any room to grow. Same with like bites and stings. It's good for bee stings. Anything that's swollen, it's a really nice. Make like a clay mask and put it on there. It's really great. There's like a million other things that this is good for. Like if you go and Google diatomaceous earth, you can read for hours about the wonderful things it's done for people. But I won't go on and on, which I already have, but I'll stop there. Epsom salt is something I always have in my house. I love it. This is actually not salt, it's magnesium sulfate, but it's called a salt because it's crystallized. It's a soaking solution. It basically drains swelling, but a lot of people use it. Athletes use it for baths. I use it when I'm pregnant because your feet and legs tend to retain water. It's a really nice relaxing bath. But it's also really good for other things like fevers. When my kids have a fever, I'll give them a lukewarm, not cold, but not warm bath with Epsom salt. I'm not exactly sure why it works, but it just does. It's very good for anything that's swollen, like I said. So blisters on your feet, like a burn, anything like that. It's just really good to soak because things look a lot worse than they really are and they feel worse than they are because of the swelling that's occurring. So if you can relieve the swelling, a lot of times you don't have to like go to the doctor. Like if you have a burn or something or a bug bite, like anything like that, if you just soak it, within a couple of hours, it will start to heal by itself because you're just kind of letting your body take a break and do its job, which it's pretty good at if you can relieve some of that fluid buildup. I use it for my kids for things like that. And like when they had the chicken pox, this was incredibly helpful for like speeding up the process of the chicken pox, sort of like popping. Sorry, that's gross, but that's the process of chicken pox is that you get a bump and then it pops and then it scabs over. Anyway, the baths really help that process speed up, be more effective, and be over quickly. It's also an antifungal. I'm not sure why, but it is. So it's really good for like babies who have like a yeast rash going on. That's really common with diapering babies. Whenever my kids will get a rash that is like kind of yeasty, rather than doing something over the counter, I'll usually just start giving them Epsom salt soaks and lots of fresh air, and it's over very quickly. You know, if you have like athlete's foot, stuff like that, even for like women's issues, an Epsom salt soak is very antifungal, anti-yeast. It works really quickly. Speaking of women's issues, it's a very nice bath after you have a baby because, like I said, of the relief it gives you from swelling. It speeds up recovery time a lot. Lemons. I really like lemons. People make fun of me because I have like this love affair with lemons, but they are really amazing. They are one of the things that I use them for is if I ever feel a UTI coming on, drink a gallon of water a day, and you want to aim for one fresh large lemon squeezed into a half of a gallon of water. So I'll break it up into half gallons, 1 lemon per half gallon. And if you do that every day for a few days, your UTI will probably be gone within 48 hours, and you will not need to start the vicious cycle of being on antibiotics, because that creates more and more and more problems. A lot of people who suffer from UTIs end up in a vicious cycle of antibiotics. So it's really nice to, of course, avoid that. Lemons are also really good for your balancing the pH in your body. So that just kind of makes you overall healthier and overall less inviting to viruses and bacteria. So it improves your immune system to have a more balanced pH. It's also really good at balancing your blood sugar. So if you are borderline diabetic, or you indulged in a really big dinner out or a big dessert, it's always nice to finish it with some fresh lemon water because it will make you feel better. It really does. If you've had, it's really high in electrolytes, naturally occurring electrolytes. I find that like if I have had a few drinks before I go to bed, I always try to chug some lemon water, or first thing in the morning. It is an amazing hangover cure. So is Diatomaceous Earth. Don't ask me how I know. I always have this stuff on hand. This is, the brand is Calm. And I get the one that's plus calcium because calcium and magnesium work together really well. But this is basically a magnesium drink. It's a magnesium supplement. Most people are deficient in magnesium. Almost everybody in first world countries these days could use a magnesium supplement. It's really, really good for your bones, but it's also really good for your adrenal system. That's kind of a complicated topic, but basically, if you've ever had stress in your life, if you've ever been dependent on caffeine, if you've ever had a baby, basically, if you've ever been an adult, your adrenal glands are probably really exhausted, and magnesium is an amazing support for them. So if you start having panic attacks and anxiety and you're not sure why, start with a magnesium supplement. That actually might be the root of the problem, or it might be a really amazing step in the right direction. I've suffered from anxiety and panic attacks for the last couple of years, and this has been my saving grace. Depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms, that stuff is very much alleviated when I take this. Especially when I combine it with zinc. There's a magnesium, calcium, and zinc are like a magic bullet combo for your adrenals. Especially this. Like, I've literally started having a panic attack, drank a little bit of this, and just like it will just like stop. It's really amazing stuff. And it's good for kids who have anxiety too, because it's completely natural, completely harmless. You cannot take too much of it. It has no negative side effects. So if your children suffer from anxiety, children definitely have mineral deficiencies just as much as adults do. So it's worth a shot. And when my kids are sick or they've been sick, I will just give this to them as a boost. It boosts your whole body. I don't know. It's really great stuff. But I know that a lot of adults, like, really, who doesn't suffer from anxiety and depression? I mean, I'm not minimizing those words, but I think to a lesser or greater extent, it's something that a lot of people deal with. Like, for instance, during my pregnancy, I started to say before, I started taking it from the beginning, and I ran out. I stopped taking it for about a month, and I immediately started having anxiety attacks again. And it took me about a month of taking it again to kind of like build back up, but I feel like I'm back to where I was before, not having anxiety attacks. My depression has gotten a lot better. My fatigue has gotten a lot better. So I'm not going to stop taking it ever again. This is next on the list. This is, I buy it for the elderberry, but it also happens to be a nice zinc supplement also. And like I said, CalMag zinc, that's your magic bullet. If you suffer from anxiety, definitely try that for a month before you feel like you need a pharmaceutical. If you take it for a month and it's not helping you, you probably need something more. But it's worth a shot. Elderberry is really, 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 really good for killing viruses. It's really very effective against the flu. It has no known negative side effects, except if you take too much of it, it can upset your stomach. But it's a plant, and during cold and flu season, I give this to my kids every single day. And we have fared very, very well being around people who have the flu, have other viruses. We've had a couple of hiccups of like 24-hour fevers, minor coughs and colds, but we have not been bedridden this winter, and I think we might be the only people we know who haven't been. And I've been giving my kids this and this every day. This is empty. We just finished it today, and I'm buying more tomorrow first thing in the morning. But I really recommend some form of elderberry. I actually think that we've tried elderberry syrup, and we've tried these, and I think that these work better. I don't know if it's because it's combined with the zinc, because that's also an amazing immune boost, or if it's the powdered elderberry. I'm not really sure what the difference is, but these are cheaper, and I find them to be more effective, so I'm going to keep buying these. Lavender is something I always have. I'm not an expert on essential oils. I think they're really awesome, but I don't know them or use them that much. But I am kind of addicted to my lavender essential oil. It's just really, I don't know, there's something about it that's like a cure-all for some reason. It's one of the other things I give my kids right off the bat. If they start getting sick, I'll give them an Epsom salt bath, cool water to relieve the fever, and then I always have it mixed with a little bit of coconut oil. So this is a pre-mix, and I warm it up a little bit, but I'll rub it on their bottoms of their feet, along their spine, and maybe on their temples. And it definitely helps to just like calm a fever. It brings the fever down, helps them sleep. It seems to boost the immune system. Not making medical claims, obviously, but I love the effects that I've seen on my kids when they're sick. I feel like it helps them get better faster. Maybe it's just the fact that it helps them sleep. One of the things it's really good for, also, the last thing I'm going to mention is teething. With babies, you do have to be very, very careful with essential oils. You don't want to cover large amounts of their body with essential oils because they're actually very potent, it's funny. It's one of like people who don't like essential oils, they kind of like flip-flop between saying that they're really dangerous or they do absolutely nothing. Essential oils are definitely potent, so you want to be careful with them and always research age-appropriate uses for all of them before you use them on your children. Lavender is not dangerous for babies, but you do have to be careful with the dilution, so you use a small amount. But I use a few drops in a little bit of coconut oil, and I rub it around their face and ears, and it's a great pain reliever, so it really helps them sleep. Same with like earaches, like I was saying with my son who gets earaches, the lavender definitely seems to relieve the pain. So that is the last thing on lavender. And I just thought for fun I would explain this setup here. This is my favorite facial right here. Avocado oil, honey, and lemon. So this is a Pure Foods facial. I try to do this once a week or once every couple of weeks. I use the avocado oil first for an oil cleanse. And you can Google how to do an oil cleanse. There's a couple of different ways. My favorite way is to just put it on a large like facial cotton round and use it the way you would a makeup remover. And you'd be really surprised how much dirt you're going to pull out of your skin with oil. Oil is very absorptive. So I'll do that a few times until I feel like my face is super clean but oily. Then I'll rinse with hot water with a hot washcloth. Then I'll do the honey. I take about a teaspoon of honey and I will just kind of smear that all over my face while it's still kind of damp. Let it sit for 15 minutes. Now avocado oil is my favorite oil for oil cleansing. Sorry to skip back there for a second. I have dry skin. I find avocado oil very moisturizing for my skin. If you have oily skin, castor oil or coconut oil is probably a better bet for you because they're actually very drying. Not very drying, but they pull oil from the skin. So those are good for oily skin to do it. You can do an oil cleanse if you have oily skin, even though it sounds kind of scary. So then after you do the oil cleanse, take a hot washcloth and get all the excess oil off. So then what I was saying is I'll take some raw honey. Raw is better for a facial because it has more enzymes, which is really awesome for your face that you're going to pay a lot of money for at a salon or something for an enzyme facial, but you can get it in a bottle of raw honey. I leave that on for about 15 minutes. If I'm having an acne breakout, I will add a few drops of lavender essential oil. Speaking of lavender, because lavender is also really good for calming acne. I will rinse the honey off after 15 minutes and then squeeze a few drops, about a teaspoon of honey into about 1/8 of a cup of water. Don't go overboard on the lemon because it's acidic, but it is a very, very, very nice facial toner. The citric acid is so good for your skin. It decreases redness. improves cell turnover. It cures brown spots and aging spots. So yeah, I love it. My skin is, I mean, I'm 32. I'm gonna have my 6th baby, so my skin is definitely not, you know, teenager skin. But this facial makes my skin look great. Like, I can walk out of the house without makeup on. I love it, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, so that is my home remedy video. If you have any questions, leave a question below. I'm sure there's lots of questions. It can be really overwhelming if you've never tried any of this stuff before, even though this is like really simple stuff that basically everybody could have around their house for not much money. Leave questions below, and I'm going to try to leave links to just more information than I was able to give in a 20-minute video. And I know even 20 minutes is kind of long for home remedies, but there's just so much to say. There's so much natural stuff that's like really good, really effective for your health. Yeah, that's it. I hope you found this interesting and maybe a little bit helpful. So let me know what you think.